license and registration, he can sense your aggravation.
On the head of the fallen angel.
When the world is muttering under the floorboards, stomp even louder.
Time.
Let them know you are alive today.
Or unhum.
Did you know that your hands came with a ripple effect?
Whisper tones unraveling like silk.
Blood, sweat, and tears win by any means poetry.
Sway, look at me. Is a piece of the pie too good for me?
Some may call it rock the mic. We call it poetry.
The enslaved. What did they lose? Traversing these lands that their ancestors survived, swallowing even what they could not digest. Choices were never offered. Waters swallowed so many, as did this foreign soil. He, she, they survived, but never thrived. Residue from the motherland created resilience in their progeny, who dared to claim a victory that was ever postponed, but claimed nonetheless. Then again, they have gotten used to receiving, to having less. Hello, Sojourn with Words viewers, family. We are once again bringing you some excellence, some literary excellence. How about that? I'm speaking of this young lady who is no stranger to me, and I'm hoping that by the time we finish this interview on Sojourn with Words, she won't be a stranger to you as well. Her name is Nala Washington. And before I get into introducing her, let me welcome Nala. Welcome to Sojourn with Words.
Thank you, Sistah Joy.
You're very welcome. We're very happy to have you. And while Nala is from this area, she is not currently residing in this area, but we're happy to have her. But let me just share some bio information, as it were, and then we can get into a one-on-one conversation. She can tell us more about what her journey has been and how it has been for her. So Nala is an MFA poetry student at Texas State University. You can find her words currently and forthcoming in Midnight and Indigo Lit, the Santa Clara Review, Lavina Press. Did I say that right? Lavina Press?
Yes.
Yes, okay. An Essay Magazine, Sanctuary Magazine, and more. And now, as a spoken word artist, Nala has competed in the Brave New Voices competition for the DC team in 2020. And she was a featured performer at the Kennedy Center in 2020 for the Arts Across America series, and was also the 2023 BIPOC Scholarship winner for the Fine Arts Work Center. She has opened for such established poets as Ebony Stewart and Christopher Michael. Other features include the 2025 Austin Independent Book Fair, the 2025 Say That Again Showcase with Early Era Collective in Austin, Texas, the 2024 Juneteenth celebration in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, the 2022 Society Incorporated Showcase in Prince George's County, and trust me, the list goes on. So let's see, she is currently a participant of the Austin Poetry Slam. So as you can see, there's a trail. This sister has been traveling. She's been doing it. I mean, from year to year. We're so very happy to have you back here for our viewers in Prince George's County, right where I met you. And I know that there are many that will be viewing this that have been wondering, what is Nala up to? Because she left us and we just hear about it, but we don't know. So now they get to hear directly from you. Nala, First of all, your journey has taken you on quite a journey. The poetic journey, for instance, from the DMV, and for those not viewing here from here, DMV simply means DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So from the DMV to Pennsylvania, now to Texas. Talk about your poetic journey.
Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy to think about. I had to call my mom to be like, where have I been? Because I think I just forget so often. I've been saying for years that the first poem I wrote was when I was 15 or 16. That's a lie. It's actually when I was in 7th grade. I went to Benjamin D. Floyd Middle School in Morningside, Maryland, and I wrote my first poem in English class like randomly. It was like for an assignment. I didn't start taking poetry seriously until high school. I attended Suitland High School, and I had an advisor, Miss Clay, and she ran the after-school poetry club. And so from there, I kind of just took off. I watched poets like Rudy Francisco and Ebony Stewart, Christopher Michael, like all the people I'm meeting now, which is so surreal. And I decided I wanted to take it more seriously, but I think I didn't know where to go where I can kind of major in creative writing or really dive into it. I didn't really want to focus solely on English. Like I needed that creative outlet. And so Susquehanna University in Pennsylvania is one of the few schools, undergraduate universities that lets you major in creative writing while not just focusing on poetry. I got to dive into creative nonfiction and fiction as well and learn certain things from those two while lending it back to my poetry. And so I thought that was super helpful. And so I ended up attending the Summers Writers Workshop in 2019, like right before COVID hit, my senior year of high school. And I knew like Susquehanna was the right fit for me. And going to SU in Pennsylvania, I mean, it's not the DMV, but it was far enough where I felt like, okay, like I'm getting a new audience, I'm meeting new people. And then man, so much has happened. Like I think I went back and forth between the DMV and Pennsylvania for pretty much the last like 4-ish years, from 2020 to 2024, while in undergrad. And I participated in like the SU Slam Poetry Club. I cultivated like our African American poetry series, which is still a thing, which is really cool to see after graduating SU, and lots of other things, honestly, that I can't remember off the top of my head. And then I think my senior year is when I decided I wanted to get my master's in fine arts. I wanted to focus more on writing on the page poetry, and I wanted to just hone in on my craft for a couple more years before I decided to publish. My goal has always been to be published by the time I'm 30. I'm going on 24, so I have a couple more years to get that done. I just knew I wanted to go to the MFA, and a teacher of mine, actually, Dr. Carla Kelsey, my poetry instructor at the time, was like, have you thought about Texas State? I haven't thought about Texas at all as a possibility. And I was like, Texas? And I randomly applied on a whim, and I got accepted. And they gave me the most scholarship opportunities. I mean, the faculty and staff was just truly like amazing. Cecily Parks, who's a well-known poet, and one of my professors here, reached out to me, and we had like a really long phone conversation on what her workshops look like, what she expects of her students, what can I expect of her as an instructor. And from there, it just kind of clicked. The same way Susquehanna clicked for me, Texas State clicked for me. And so I just completed my first year of my MFA.
Well, congratulations. Congratulations. Wow. You've been almost a roller coaster ride, just moving right along. Well, let's see. I'm trying to go back to our beginnings now. Did I meet you through dialect, or did I meet you through Expressions Teen Poetry Camp?
Oh, man. Dialect. Yeah. I'm so like, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Poet Laureate program. Yeah.
Yes, I started the Youth Poet Laureate program. Yeah. That was so instrumental in the lives of so many young poets, poets in Prince George's County. Shout out to Patrick Washington, Neville Adams. They have been doing great work. And this is their 10th year for the Prince George's County Youth Poet Laureate program.
I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh. Like
Exactly. Well, you're living witness and that the program works, and we're just so excited. I have to say this to you because I'm not sure that you down in Texas you heard about it, but there's been a Lucille Clifton Literary Scholarship that's now been awarded 2 years consecutively, and because of your trajectory, and hailing from Prince George's County, you would qualify for those scholarships. So keep in mind next year, look out for the Lucille Clifton. You're a alum of dialect, so that means you're in the small pool of applicants that could qualify. But Marissa Michelle was our first winner, and Kaylee Hohe is this year's winner of the scholarship. So be in touch. Let us know how we can support you.
Great.
And this is what we always try to do through the literary community here in Prince George's County. Now, when we talk about poetry performance and poetry activism, how is that something that is meaningful, or is that something that's meaningful to you? We know performance is, but how about activism?
Yeah. So I've attended Texas State as a PWI. Susquehanna University is a PWI. PWI predominantly white institutions. Coming from Prince George's County, which is one of the blackest counties out there, it definitely was a shift. And it's been a lot of fun as I've had. It's been a lot of hardships as well, a lot of new experiences for better or worse, and just certain moments. And you get out in the world and you realize not everyone loves you as much as some people loves you. Not everyone respects you as much. And people be peopling, as my father would like to say. And so I didn't go into 2 PWIs for the last almost like 5 years now. It's been something that I feel like I've paid more attention to when I'm talking to people, certain interactions I've had, just noticing like implicit biases and things like that, or when things are not okay. And so when those things happen, I turn to my poetry. I started in performance, and that's just something that I continue. And I find a lot of the times when I feel like I can't articulate very well, or I don't know what to say in those moments, I go to the page. And going to the page has been definitely helpful when responding to certain incidents or certain people or whatever the case may be, or just in like my internalized like emotions and trying to get those out. So poetry is this vessel for justice. Poetry is a vessel for activism. I think the arts has always been a vessel for activism and justice. And I think poetry is one of the best ones to like prompt that out. So
Absolutely. Well, I know that when a little bit later on this today's show, we're going to hear some of your poetry. And I don't know if you've chosen poetry of activism but whatever you share, I know it'll show your voice as the powerful young poet that you are. We're looking forward to that. But let's see, we talked about your educational journey. And so the BA, the Bachelor's of Arts and versus the MFA. Why continue this journey, and how has it helped you to grow?
Like I said, I started primarily in spoken word, and I believe spoken word poetry and slamming is way different from poetry of the page. And that was a big thing within my application process and applying to grad school. I knew off the bat that I needed to focus more on my poetry of the page. What does it feel like on the page? How does it translate to readers without them hearing me? How can they still hear my voice without actually hearing my voice from a video or live performance? And so I knew I'm super strong on stage. Like that's something that I've been very well aware about, especially growing up in the arts as a kid. I did everything. But I just need to hone more into my actual physical writing. And so I decided I want to take my MFA for that primary reason, and just learn from the best of the best, again, like Cecily Parks, Cyrus Cassell, like they're very known poets. And so it's been a joy to learn from them and to witness them and to get feedback from them. I think also I knew I wanted to teach. And a lot of the MFA programs allows for that to happen for students. And so I'm actually going to be a teaching assistant for my first year English class in the fall. And so I'll be teaching them how to kind of write properly in essay writing and get them started on that while they're coming into their college journey. And I knew I wanted to make a difference in that way as well. And so the MFA just opened both doors for me so I can do that simultaneously.
Oh, wonderful. Wow. I'm glad to hear that you're passing the baton through teaching. I remember, well, there's a poet that's very dear to me, Jericho Brown, and I just know that his approach to writing is just so compelling. And I believe what I'm going to hear from you is going to be compelling as well. I'm not trying to compare you to Jericho.
No.
That's unfair. That's unfair.
It's not.
But just when we talk about the next goals and the advice for young poets, if you're considering teaching, then that must be something that's on your mind.
Yeah.
What would you both say are your next goals, and what advice would you offer for young poets? And we, so that we can wrap this up and start hearing some of your poetry, because I'm anxious over here, but I do want to hear that from you.
Next goals. So this summer, I'm actually returning PG for the summer of 2025, which will be fun to dive into some gigs and just go back home, go back to where I started. I'm also teaching my first workshop course, which should be really fun with the it's called Badger Dog Creative Writing Workshops through the Austin Public Library Foundation here in Texas.
Can you say that again a little bit slower?
Badger Dog Creative Writing Workshops through the Austin Public Library Foundation. And so I'm actually going to be teaching children how to write poems, and we're going to focus on form. So I think definitely more workshops and workshop opportunities where I can teach or assist. That's something I'm looking at. Obviously, teaching in any capacity, more performances. I've been involved in Everywhere Poetry in Texas, Austin Poetry Slam, like you said in my intro, a couple other places where I have some gigs lined up. So still performing. And then again, my overarching goal for now, like my big goal for the next 5 to 6 years, is to have my own full-length poetry collection published. But that's something I'm worried about after the MFA is completed, because I still feel like I have growing to do and learning before I kind of feel confident to be like, okay, let's cultivate this manuscript.
A 30-second snippet.
Okay.
Advice for young poets.
Advice for young poets? Oh, guys. I think just take the risk. You know, you never know what's going to happen unless you put yourself out there, whether it's joining Dialect of Prince George's, whether it's going to grad school in Texas. Put yourself out there and just see what happens with you and your work.
Okay. Wow. Now that having been completed, drum roll, please. We now get to hear some of the incredible poetry of Nala Washington. And for those that may have joined us late and don't know what's going on, you just hear this vibrant and just loquacious young voice. You're listening to the conversation is between myself, Sistah Joy, but Nala Washington, a powerful young voice from Prince George's County who has relocated to Texas, but she's come home for the summer. She's come home, and we're blessed to have her here. So Nala, what poems are you going to share with us, hopefully for the next 12 minutes or so?
I'm going to be reading an index of themes, which was actually a workshop poetry prompt that I really enjoyed to kind of look at my overarching work over the years in Creative Index. So I'll be reading that one to kind of open. And then I have a Ghazal after the 2024 election night, which was one of the poems that is going to be published with the Santa Clara Review. And then I don't know where I'm going to go from there.
Okay, well, let's just do it. Let's do it.
Cool. Okay. This is Index of Themes. This is after the poet Ben Lerner, who had an index at the beginning of his poetry book that we read, The Lights, if you're curious. Poems about loss and its relations. Stories about the places lived in, my mother's womb, the East Coast, and since then, erased. Poems about unlapsed time. I remember loving and losing, lingering and lasting, and poems about memory and how unreliable it can be. Today, poems about hobbies, editing my life story, breaking literary traditions, and convincing this body to rise as the sun proceeds to. Poems about existing while Black and woman and. Poems with apologies in between, to whom I wish not to say yet. Poems about tattooed name on hearts, bullets penetrating blue-black flesh, and poems about sun rays and how there is enough light to share, or something like that. Poems about performance poetry and performances about poetry. I overheard a poet say, I consider myself a performer who happens to write. Admittedly, I do not understand. These poems are both performance of process and form, poetry performance, performance of self on, in, white space. Love letters altered into poems, to Black women, to anxious beings, poems for you. Poems with ideas that all poems are unfinished, poems undone like we are, poems with open arms. We all need a little bit more editing. Poems waiting to be read by someone, anticipating they will tell me it is all clear. That was
all poems are unfinished. I love that. Yes, yes. Continue, please.
Okay, so this is a ghazal after the 2024 election night. A ghazal is a poetic form, if anyone was curious to look it up and kind of try it. And it starts with a quote from Dorothy Height. Quote, I want to be remembered as someone who used herself and anything she could to touch, to work for justice and freedom. I want to be remembered as the one who tried. End quote. Dorothy Height.
Dr. Dorothy Height, yes.
67,277,632 individuals decided, let's do some hoping. You are one of them, gullible for hoping. You wake and feel like you're vanishing into some void. Reclose the dusty off-white blinds. Lay in dark corners. Talk to the grained gray walls that seep with hoping. Cry. For all of us who carry the bodies and burdens of our ancestors, whose blood spills on the front lines spelling humanity, we were hoping. Witness the cardboard cutouts on campus grounds that remind you that you are other. Sway with blades of grass. Weep with the rain. Clutch sun rays and pocket them, hoping. Bones broke and break, cultivating a system that has never had a rightful place for us. Unmarked graves of our predecessors, search for them, for yourself, in the debris, with the hoping. Go to your apartment kitchen where, for a moment, you get to forget, to just be. Bite garlic bread with sips of red wine mixed with unsure tears, and you're hoping. Call your mother. We do not know what tomorrow holds. Comfort the varying generations of others. Apologize for failing them. Sisters' brown and buttery faces, they are still hoping. Hold your roommate's hand. Conjoined rage traveling through pulsing veins. She says, this feels like when Ken took over Barbie's house. Chuckle. You almost find you're hoping. We were raised in institutions of creating, failing, imagining, succeeding. Put your hand on your heart, your stupid organ filled with the hoping. There is an idea where we can love the world and it love us back as everything we are, choose to be, including our hoping. Do not rush from the grief you feel. Embrace it. You are not gullible for hoping. Okay, I think I'm gonna do, I want to say like I don't want to say a popular piece, but a pretty well-known piece, I guess, out here in Texas that I wrote a while ago that still deals with justice themes and things like that. Cool. Okay. A piece of my new love died. Silently on the night of July 30th, 2024, he described the piercing white light as heaven's gate, an afterlife of some sort where all Black boys evidently go to die. He leaves behind the memory of a static radio, a recognizable voice not of a god in his eyes before he stepped out of his gray Honda Accord. Witnesses say he was possessed by the ghost of Dante Wright, heard the stuttering of George Floyd, the frustration of Manuel Ellis, and the fear of Andre Hill. In these last moments, he was calm, charismatic even. That doesn't stop you from becoming target practice. It's as though the universe was shouting, you should be used to this by now. That every Black boy is bound to have a run-in with the police is some rite of passage. Like shaving for the first time and your voice dropping an octave is just a part of growing up. Fearful, he leans over to me, softly stating, and I love you. At least one dream might finally come true. I've always wanted to be 6 feet. It was then decided it is not his time. We thank the officer for seeing him more person than hashtag, more human than chalk outline. We thank the cop for doing his job, for granting us a warning and not a burial. We drive to a Chipotle, his obsession meal. And in all of the silence, we know that African Americans are still killed by the police at a higher rate than other groups, that African Americans account for 13% of the US population on record. The police killed the highest number of people in 2023. African Americans killed at more than twice the rates of Caucasian Americans. That fatal police shootings in the US are increasing, with 956 civilians having been shot, 207 Black as of late 2024. That Black men killed by the cops are between 20 and 40 years of age. He is 23. We know in the silence that this poem very well will be another seance and not a jubilee. We inaudibly praise God, or the angels of our ancestors, or whatever divine timing that took place, that in this story, this Black life remains a Chipotle of all the places to be grateful. Okay, I'll do one more.
Yes.
Okay. This is actually an old one that I wrote with dialect, so.
Oh, great.
Shouts out to them. This is called my honest poem. I heard that honesty is a poet's greatest weapon, so here is my honest poem. I'm like 5'1" on a super really good day. Corny jokes are actually kind of funny to me. I become weary of memories. And that often I find myself carrying the bricks from my last relationship to the new one, resulting in the same house being built. I get frustrated about my flaws, backed by insecurities. Every scenario has crawled down my chest and tugged at my heartstrings. However, I continually say I'm okay because okay isn't happy, but okay is just enough for no one to care so much. My feet are bloody by the running from past experiences I'm afraid will repeat itself when I am silent. It speaks more volumes than his voice can ever. I am an actress. I hold millions of blockbusters within me. No one has ever seen behind the scenes. No one has ever clapped once. I have become the leading star in everyone else's production but my own. I'd win an Oscar for best performance. I like the sun and never stop shining. You know, sometimes I wish I was like it. Hi, my name is Nala. I enjoy sunsets, what my mother calls sad girl music, and taking pictures because when my smile is pixelated, you can't tell whether it's real or not. This is the type of honesty that kisses me goodnight and continues to wake me up each morning.
Wow. Okay. Nala Washington. For anybody who came on late, shame on you. Nala, thank you so much. We are here on CTV. This is Sojourn with Words, presenting the best in poetry anywhere. Nala Washington, one of our very own, and is relocated to Texas, but she's here with us today. We are ever so grateful. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your poetry. Thank you for uplifting and empowering and encouraging by your very testimony others who might think that, well, they've got to do it where they start. No, there can be a journey. And so you've shown us that the journey can be unexpected and broader than you possibly might have originally been comfortable with. But look at the excellence that is shining through you right now. Oh, my goodness. Congratulations on all that you're doing and about to do. I always say to anyone, poetry is the way to self-empowerment. Poetry is a way of self-discovery. This is what you want to do if you have questions. Nala, thank you for your witness. Always remember, Sojourn with Words is right here on CTV in Prince George's County. We bring the best, and we always tell you, pick up that pen and keep writing.